Wicked, and it was amazing. That part where Elphaba was yelled at as a little girl reminded me of my childhood. And that part where she faces isolation at school reminded me of my hometown. And that part where she defies gravity, well, I can't do that. But I can defy cultural stigma. I'm starting therapy. So I was looking for a therapist on those websites where you can find your perfect match, except therapy's a date you always pay for, even with insurance. And Lord, I'm gonna need more therapy after looking at Cade's visual aids. And I was like, wait a minute. This looks a little too much like Chili's happy hour on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Why is everyone here white? Well, according to Psychology Today on August 6th of 2024, 86% of psychologists in the U.S. workforce are white. You heard me, white. White people are in charge of BIPOC mental health. So when we are oppressed, we have no one to turn to but the oppressors. So today, we are going to talk through the causes, effects, and solutions to the colonization of therapy. Because I only know one woman of color I can talk to about my life experiences. And I'm getting tired of cleaning the dust off my mirror. Did you see that? I just walked into a barrier. A systemic barrier. Two causes. Barriers to entry in the psychology field and cultural stigma. First, people of color face barriers to entry when pursuing the psychology field. Most positions require a bachelor's degree and up to a doctorate for clinical psychologists. And it's already hard enough to study psychology. I thought I was reading Wattpad one night, but it was just the writings of Sigmund Freud. First it was hotter than the temperature in this room, but then it got weird. And minority students face additional challenges. According to a study conducted by the Journal of Counseling on December 23rd of 2023, people of color that were studying psychology reported racism in more than half of their programs. DEI? Well, I wish racism would DIE. Spell it out in your heads. One student commented, I feel like white students and faculty like the buzzword of multiculturalism, but don't show up for these communities. We might have gotten rid of equity and inclusion, but students of color got that new D, discrimination. When psychology programs actively work against diversity, students of color don't stay. And then our therapists are white. Second, the stigma within our own cultures prevents people of color from accessing therapy. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation on May 23rd of 2024, people of color are twice as likely to avoid seeking mental health care due to stigma. In my family, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't talk about it. You sit in the corner with the Curol Vicks Vapor Rub until you feel better, which TSA would not let me bring through the gate. That's right, it vaporizes feelings too. I asked my dad if I could see a therapist, and he told me when he was my age, he didn't need a therapist. He needed his papers. So then I said, in a 2024 study with Blue Cross Blue Shield, more than 50% of respondents reported racism in their communities. For my POC out there, it's okay to be selfish, and maybe take a QR code home at the end for your parents. Having a white therapist can be a lot like having a white boyfriend. We've all been there. You hide him from your family, but you're not embarrassed. You're just a private person. Sometimes he says questionable things, but he's a great guy, you swear. Deep down, you ask yourself if this man's name is Chuck E. Cheese, because he loves to play games, and you're just a token. We'll see why through two effects. First, therapy is shaped by values of white supremacy. And second, people of color are critically underdiagnosed. But first, without minority voices, the therapy experience is shaped by values of white supremacy. In an article with Word in Black on February 2nd of 2024, Dr. Marlene Watson interviewed white therapists on how they engage with the topic of race. Have you ever seen a white person try to talk about race? It's like watching a baby giraffe being born. There's a lot of stumbling at first, but that baby giraffe has a cardigan and keeps talking about their Ancestry.com results. We get it, baby giraffe. You're 0.02% Irish. Dr. Watson found that many therapists commonly avoid talking about race, with one person stating, "I don't want to feel bad about myself as a white therapist." Oh, well, I don't want to face casual racism on a daily basis, but people get a little weird sometimes. Like, they ask me how long I've been here. Well, at least 5 minutes if I'm on my first effect. And in the Journal of Black Psychology, Professor Helen Neville defines racial battle fatigue, the mental effect of others invalidating your experiences. This battle shouldn't be fought in a therapist's office. Second, people of color are critically underdiagnosed. In a study of over 400 clinics in 2023, the RAND Corporation found that 1 in 5 callers who spoke Spanish or were hung up on, or told that no one could assist them. You can't diagnose me if you don't pick up the phone. It's not that hard to understand an individual in crisis. Depression in Spanish is literally depression. Depresión. And even when we are assessed, it's not much better. On February 8th of 2024, CASET On Demand finds that therapists commonly dismiss behaviors of mental illness in people of color as stereotypes of their culture. Warning signs are ignored. Like me with my white boyfriend. He was a farmer. He had a pony named Diablo, but the devil's in the details. These details. Over the course of a 10-year study, the National Institute of Health found that people of color are more likely to experience psychotic disorders, with Black Americans experiencing psychosis at twice the rate of white Americans. No one should be left alone. Starting therapy was hard. My first session gave me PTSD to confession at the Catholic Church. Except in therapy, I cried. No, actually, I did that at confession too. Father Matt told me to say 5 Hail Marys, then asked me to leave the premises. Oh, Father Matt, can't get enough of that guy. Wish I could quit him for Lent. 2 solutions. Making the psychology field more diverse and making therapy accessible to people of color. First, most of our therapists are white, and that is not going to change overnight. Unless you're Donald Trump, because damn, that man made it the White House. So we need to hold all employees accountable. CASET On Demand offers an online, self-paced, implicit bias training geared towards mental health professionals. Look, we all procrastinate those emails from HR with the subject line that screams, "Mandated training!" with like 32 video modules that you can't skip. But implicit bias training can reveal things about ourselves that we need to understand. And by the way, the next time you're watching those videos, just remember, I can't skip through racism on 2 times speed. Now, some of you might be asking yourselves, Miranda, I'm a cis straight white man, and I love helping people. I fed 3 kids on my vacation to Cancun. My own. How can I help? Oh, well, that's easy. First, if you're wondering if that was an impression of Ted Cruz, it was. And second, don't be the reason I go to therapy. I encourage you to seek out implicit bias training in your own field so we can make all spaces, including psychology, diverse for everyone. But as for the mental health field, the Clinical Psychology Review Journal of March 2024 urges the need for hospitals, health centers, and universities to regularly reevaluate and enforce this training with their employees. Now, for the individual of color, beginning therapy can be intimidating. So, mental health professional Sahaj Kohli created Brown Girl Therapy. Her website provides access to resources such as events, workshops, and meetings to destigmatize the conversation of mental health within our own cultures. Scan my QR code to access a collection of resources for you or someone you know. After you scan this QR code to my Venmo. My copay isn't cheap. Ask Sophia. So feel free to support this Brown Girls Therapy. Give me a if you care. So now if you want, you can scan this QR code after the round to access a collection of resources, including the BIPOC Therapy Fund, where every $125 donated pays for a person of color's first therapy session, prioritizing those who are currently unable to afford care. So if you all won't be paying for my copay, maybe you can help fund someone else's. So today, we talk through the causes, effects, and solutions of the colonization of therapy. Just like Alphaba, I've just begun to fly, and I can't wait to see what's next. Although I did cry like like 7 times during therapy, which is a pretty good reflection of my mental health journey so far. But just like I did in Wicked Part 1. Just me. On that note, actually, I'm out of time. So feel free to see me after the round if you all want to hear me try Cynthia Erivo's Wicked Riff.